From the Oklahoman newsroom, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with John Helsley. John, Cowboys preparing to go to Pitt for an 11 o'clock game on Saturday, and we all know last year these two teams met in Stillwater, and frankly, it did not go that well for the Pitt defense, more specifically the Pitt secondary. What did they learn about James Washington a year ago? Is it anything that they can use to their advantage this year?
I think they learned a lot right out of the gate, of course, last year. First play for OSU, 91 yards, James Washington touchdown. Pat Narducci said this week that he had always felt that good football players were good football players, but he's changed his attitude on that based on this game. He says they don't have receivers like this in the Big Ten. And so, yeah, I think that they're going to address their defense as far as how to cover James Washington and the other guys a little bit differently this time.
Well, we've seen Pitt for a couple games already. They played Penn State, most notably this last weekend. As you said, I mean, Narduzzi and others are sort of admitting, hey, listen, there's no animals like the OSU receiver corps in the Big Ten. What sense did you get watching that Penn State game? Is there cause for concern if you're the Pitt secondary that it could be a repeat of what we saw a year ago?
I would think so, because you can even have a plan. Okay, so we're going to maybe double cover James Washington more, or what are you going to do there? Well, this happens to be the year where Oklahoma State also has a bunch of other options. Tyron Johnson, Marcell Ateman is back. We saw Ateman have a big game last week at South Alabama. So while you might be able to address James Washington in a different way, I don't know how that's going to impact your defense when you leave these other guys open. Justice Hill hadn't yet become a major factor in the offense last year when they played Pitt. He's that now. So, a lot of working parts here. And let's not forget, they're down 3 defensive starters that were suspended before the season. So that suspension goes through the Oklahoma State game. Tough spot for the Pitt defense.
You mentioned Justice Hill. He's also started to catch the ball a little bit, which we've written about and talked about in other places. But lastly, about this pass offense for Oklahoma State as it relates to James Washington, through 2 games, obviously not Power 5 teams in those first 2 games, but already 3 plays, 3 touchdowns of 40+, John. I mean, those are the type of numbers that you just don't see very often. You talk about things that Pitt has learned, but it doesn't seem like James Washington is the same guy either going into this rematch with Pitt.
No, and we saw so many big plays from him a year ago, but like you said, already, this season, big plays, big touchdown catches. He's just different, and he's really special. And I know Pitt wishes he'd gone to the NFL when he was thinking about it last year, but here he is, along with Mason Rudolph, ready to attack him again this week.
All right, 11 o'clock on Saturday in Pittsburgh, that game on ESPN. And be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.